So we're starting the inside of this thing, and the first thing I started doing, was insulating the corners with Great Stuff, which is literally called Great Stuff. And it's just expanding foam. And then I'll put sealer along the bottom of between the cement and the 2x2, and then the next will be insulation. So right now, what I'm working on is insulating the bigger gaps up top at the roof line. I am taking this closed cell foam, these closed cell foam pieces that are like inch thick. I forgot what the R value is. Doesn't really matter because they're getting covered up. But what I'm doing is see the light gaps through the roof. Those are fairly large gaps, and of course, wind and sand is going to blow in there. And eventually, it's all going to be covered in another layer of insulation. But I don't want sand to gather up in there, or rain. But I don't think rain would come in there. It's just because there's an overhang on the outside. So anyway, what I'm doing is cutting up these pieces into 2¼ inch strips, and I have these little trapezoidal size pieces I'm putting in the very tops up there, and I'm just filling it in and gluing them in with construction sealant and adhesive, construction adhesive that is also a sealant. And I'll show you on the other side. Hang on. So this is the other side that I already finished, and you can see the purple up there, kind of, or at least see the lack of light gap in there. And my plan is to fill in those spots like that, where the trapezoid little pieces are, and fill it in with Great Stuff. That was a terrible attempt right there. And kind of just do the same thing that I did over here. If this will show up, I don't know. Because those were just like minor, tiny little unsealed tiny cracks up there. So anyway, that's what I'm doing right now, along with the floor sealant that I already started over here around the edges, all around the edges. And next will be, I'm going to get some sealant and do those, and around the doors. And then I'm going to start in with the big sheets of insulation. I did underneath these panels too, because there's an air gap in there. And here in the desert, we don't worry about rain, we worry about sand. So sand would be coming in through there all the time if I didn't seal every single spot like that. So since these are going to be covered with insulation like these panels here, sand would just be dropping into these gaps, because there's going to be a 2½ gap, like I said in another video, between the insulation and the wall. So there's that. And then I also went along the entire bottom, and I went up in these corners pretty far because there's an air gap in there. So I did that around the whole entire perimeter on the bottom, on that part, and then up the sides, of course. Around windows and doors, I did all that. And then the last thing I did was was this construction sealant around the entire bottom perimeter. And I did that because I expect that to last a whole lot longer than the Great Stuff, and that's more to keep out bugs, because the panels from the outside, they are open. The paneling comes down and it just kind of sits down low. And I had it extended about 1 inch below the perimeter, the bottom perimeter. I'll show you that too. So that extends about 1 inch below the bottom perimeter, as you can see. And I sealed some of it around areas like this, but most of it's just open underneath here, just in here. And so sand and bugs and stuff would definitely be coming in there. So I went through and I sealed everything. So the whole entire building is sealed like that. And I did around everywhere there's an opening. Of course, there's sand in here, but anywhere there was any sort of opening, I went over everything. So that's what I did, if that makes sense, hopefully. And if that maybe helps somebody in the future, how to seal a metal building. Oh, that's another thing. So the panels overlap in spots outside, which is fine outside. I left those. But I sealed the inside panels, as you can see. So there are 1, 2, 3 spots in here where I sealed the section where the panels overlap. And on the outside, I riveted the panels together where the wind might blow some panels up. And then I covered the rivets with that same sealant. It's a really great sealant. I got it from 3M. It's just construction sealant. Also one more thing, the apex. So I'm not going to do the apex until I have a ceiling in, and then I can walk on the joists once there's some plywood in there. But I am going to also seal this. Not quite sure. I think I decided to do it with metal tape because, like I said, I'm not worried about rain. I'm worried about sand. But I'm also going to do a little bit more research. And there's a chance I might just leave it open for venting up in the ceiling. And if I don't, I'll probably add just like a little fan vent up on top, which will be basically over the ceilings. And then it'll be like an attic storage space with a little vent on one end, on both ends, to vent it if I do seal that up.